So today is bath day for Winnie, and I groom her as usual all the way through, full grooming. I usually don't do any of the additional things on bath day just because it's a lot for her to do already. Instead of putting her hair up in bands, I use a clip because I'm about to take it out. This is just so I can give her her grooming treats and get the bath set up while she's eating them and her hair doesn't like go all over her face. Now this isn't the most secure thing in the world, you'll see. I mean, it basically comes right out. But at least it keeps the hair out of her face. She's probably going to shake it out. Let's see if she does. No? No? So now I give her her normal post-grooming treats. See, it's not the most effective maybe, but it does the trick. Which are the Cheese Please treats by Complete Natural Nutrition for Dogs. She takes 4 of these every day after grooming, so that's no different. Come here, sit. This is normally when I would take a picture of her if she were in a bow for her blog, but since it's bath day, we're not taking a picture. I'm going to make her wait for a minute. Wait. And while she's waiting, I'll clean out her brushes and combs and things. Okay. That's her release command, so she can go get her treats. What did I do? Oh. Then I start setting up for the bath. So I just get all the hair out of the brushes and combs for when I'm drying her. I've already set up the blow dryer. This is her grooming pillow. All just out from the grooming process. Blow dryer is in place, ready to go, plugged in. This jar has all of Winnie's bath time essentials that are for the grooming table. So I have 3 towels. This pink one I use as a base just over a grooming mat so the grooming mat doesn't get wet. Then I have these 2 kind of fluffier towels that I fold in quarters lengthwise and kind of create a little nest out of so she doesn't get terribly cold while she's in the bath. I mean, after she's been in the bath and while I'm drying her, you'll see she shakes like a leaf. But this just helps keep her in one place and also keep her warm. And these are the biscuits I give her. I give her one when she's all done. That's the big treat. So now I'm going to go set up the bathroom. You come along with me. Winnie knows what's coming when that the clip goes in her hair. So this is Winnie's bathroom. You recognize it from, I don't know, something if you've seen it. These are her bath towels. I alternate and I wash them once a month, so she only uses each towel twice before washing. I have my little bath time flip-flops because I end up standing in about 3 inches of water by the time all is said and done. And this is a drain catcher, a hair catcher I put over the drain because Winnie has a lot of fuzzy hair and some of it is still in her coat even after grooming. So that just protects our drains from getting clogged. And I set up her towel on a little bench in the shower here, just so it's very close and I can wrap her up right after the shower. Now, I'm going to get out the squeezy bottles I use to dilute her shampoo and conditioner, and turn on the shower to get the water going. Make sure it's hot. Shampoo and conditioner I use. It's by Crown Royale. I buy it through cherrybrook.com. It's a dog supplier, grooming supplier. And I just buy the big jug because obviously we take a bath once a week. So there's lots of shampoo we need. Now they're concentrates, so you can dilute them. And you actually have to dilute the shampoo more than the conditioner. Vice versa, the conditioner more than the shampoo. But I just wait until I get some hot water coming out of here. So I don't want to have cold water in the squeezy bottles because she'll get really cold if I squeeze cold shampoo and conditioner on her. So I get this pretty hot actually because it cools down quickly. And these are just cake decorating or candy making squeezy bottles that I bought at Michael's for very inexpensive. Now we got some hot water. Fill those up about 1/4 of the way. And then, I don't actually measure this out, and I probably should, but I just fill with the concentrated shampoo up about a quarter. And then, conditioner is about half that amount. But it comes, you know, it's much thicker, so it comes out in like globs. So I do 2 globs. Great measuring system, I know, but, you know, sort of an eyeballing thing, and figure out what ratio works best for your dog after you do it a whole bunch of times. Then, so as to not make too much foam, you just kind of swirl them around to get them mixed up. Swirl it up. And top it off. That'll be good. This one you can shake a little bit more, it doesn't get as foamy. All done. By the time I do all these steps, Winnie's obviously finished her treats a long time ago, I'm all ready for the bath, and the water's probably right. If you want to come over here, I'll show you how I set up the shower. So I stand right here in front of the tub, and this is just a plastic utility tub I bought at Home Depot. It couldn't have been more than $100. I got one of the nicer ones. It's very sturdy. I put some rubber feet on it so it doesn't move while she's in it. Also in here I have the shampoo I use specifically on her face, on her whiskers and her mustache. It's a lightening shampoo, a whitening, but I don't want to use this on her whole coat. And you can see I have a towel set up. I have this little baby toothbrush to do her face. And I have this pitcher for rinsing. Now the last thing I have to do is get my apron on from Harrods. I like it because it's laminated and gets a little splashy in there. Just keeps me dry. And now it's time. Where's baby? Where'd she go?
Over there.
Are you hiding? See, now I can just easily pull this clip out like nothing to it. In the bath. Bath time is not our favorite time, but it has to be done. So there you have it. And now we're going to get in the bath. And I'm not sure how well the picture's going to come out because I do close the thing, but we'll do what we can to show you as much as possible. Once the water is running in the correct temperature, I put Winnie in the bath. I smooth her hair out of her face that just keeps water and soap out of her eyes, and I check the water temperature and make any last-minute adjustments. I like to check with my elbow because you get a more accurate feeling for the temperature by checking on your arm than on your hands. Then, using the handheld nozzle in my shower, I get Winnie as wet as possible. It takes a lot more time now than it did when she was a baby because she has such a thick undercoat and she's very fluffy. But I do my best to get her pretty saturated by working through her coat with my fingers and putting the handheld shower nozzle right up to her coat. Using a caution around her face, trying not to get water up her nose or in her eyes as much as possible. And you can see I do make adjustments to the water temperature throughout the bathing process. But the first goal is to get her as wet as possible so that the shampoo has a chance to get through her entire coat down to her skin. Because her coat is so downy, it holds water really well once it's wet, but it takes a very long time for her to get very wet. Once I'm satisfied with how damp Winnie is, I'll move on to washing her face. So I hook the handheld nozzle back into its holding notch, not sure what to call that, and kind of tuck her under it so that it rains down on the back of her coat and helps saturate her further. Then using my little handheld pitcher, I try my best not, again, to get water in her eyes or nose, but to get her face as wet as possible so that I can better wash her with the soap. And taking the White Lightning Brightening Shampoo, which I just use on her face, on her mustache,
and a little bit on her stop and her just above her stop on her forehead. I work this into her beard and mustache. This is a very strong shampoo because it's lightening, excuse me. So I try my very hardest to be extremely careful not to get this in her eyes or in her nose. And this is why also I like to use the baby toothbrush, which you see resting on the top of the sink there, to work the shampoo in. On the occasion that I get some soap in her eye, I'll just rinse off any soap from one of my hands and then gently, using one finger, kind of pull the soap away from her eye. It's never been a huge problem where she has an eye problem afterwards, but that's just what I do when that happens. Then I take the baby toothbrush and I work the soap in around her nose and the top of her mustache, around her stop, where it gets very dirty, but it's hard for me to get in with my fingers to clean without getting a ton of soap in her eyes and her nose. And I do a little bit just above her stop on her forehead as well, and I kind of let that sit and sink in while I apply shampoo to the rest of her. But before I can do that, I just give her another once over with the shower nozzle to make sure that she's as wet as possible, because like I said, that will help the shampoo really, it will help me be able to work the shampoo into her coat much more effectively. So I take my diluted shampoo concentrate, which I showed you in the beginning, and I just start working it into her coat. I end up going over her coat 3 or 4 times, like sort of 3 or 4 rounds of shampooing when all is said and done. But the first round, I really just am trying to get the soap on her hair, and then the subsequent rounds will really work it into her hair. So I start, as you saw, by going down the entire length of her back, and then I work all 4 paws and legs and her tail and bottom area. And she does shake from time to time, as you saw, shake her water off. Oops, dropped that there from time to time, but that's why I have the apron on and we're in a shower with a glass door. But you'll start to be able to see, if you look closely in the bottom of the sink, the dirt coming off of her paws. You can see it there. The way I know that I'm done shampooing really is when there's very little coming out of her hair. I always use the same amount of shampoo, that I go through the whole water bottle, but depending on how much I work it into her coat is really based on how dirty she is and how much dirt is coming out of her coat. I decided to speed up some of this footage just because it'd be a really long video otherwise, but basically what I'm doing here is the same thing I showed you in the previous section, where I'm going through her coat with the shampoo and working it in on her back, on all 4 of her legs, on her sides, a little bit on her stomach, and then on her tail and bottom, and a bit on her top of her head, a little bit around her ears, not too much, and on her chest, and a little bit more additionally in her face, on top of the white lighting that's still setting in her hair. I do this and I work it in as much as I need to until I can see that, a lot of the dirt is not coming out of her anymore, which means it's already gone, and you can see, maybe you can, maybe you can't, but there's less and less dirt coming out of her coat. Having the white tub really helps me be able to see dirt coming out of her coat. So it's really just a matter of working it in, working the shampoo in to get the dirt out, and then we'll move on to rinsing. So I think she's about done, and we'll slow down to show you the rinsing and then speed up again. To start the rinsing process, I fill my pitcher here, my little rinsing pitcher, with water, and starting either on the top of her head or on her front of her chest, getting as close to her chin as possible on the bottom and as close to her stop as possible on the top without getting water in her face, I just pour water over her. This lifts the soap from her skin back into her coat and makes it easier for me to rinse out when I move on to the nozzle part for rinsing. So I do, like I said, her top of her head, down her back, and her chest, and then all 4 legs and her tail as well. And I'll do this several times. And if she's really dirty, I'll even rinse mid-shampooing process just to further get the shampoo, worked through her hair. But on this particular day, she wasn't that dirty, so I'm just doing it as you can see. And once I've rinsed her off initially that way, then we move back to the nozzle. And I just do my best to get as much of the soap out as possible. I can really tell when the soap is out of her coat by how many suds are left in the basin, in the sink basin. And I just work all the same areas that I shampooed, again using extreme caution around her face and her ears. I don't want to get any water in her ears really. I know there's a way to put cotton balls in your dog's ears. It just never works for my dog's ears. I tried it a long time ago for a while, and they would just get really, really wet or just fall out because she shakes, she shakes her body, the water off her body, and they just come flying out. So I decided not to do that anymore. But I think I'll speed up the rest of the rinsing process and then come back when we're conditioning and slow back down again because this is pretty self-explanatory. Satisfied that she's rinsed out as much as possible with the shampoo, I take my bottle with the diluted conditioner, reshake it up because it's had some time to settle, and apply it to her coat in very much the same manner as I do the shampoo, although this takes a lot less time, and I don't rub it into her coat. I really just kind of very gently push it into her coat, if that makes sense, because I really just want it to sink in rather than, be rubbed in. It's kind of like how you would condition your own hair. Like for me, when I wash my hair with shampoo, I really scrub it in close to my scalp. But when I put conditioner in, I just kind of rub it on the ends of my hair. So it's the same for Winnie. Now Winnie, I want the conditioner all over her hair because she can get knots and mats anywhere. But it's really more of an applying it rather than like a scrubbing it in. So again, we do all the legs, all her sides, her tail and bottom area. And I tend to concentrate the conditioner where she gets the most mats, on her chest, a bit behind her ears and stuff. And then I'll probably, depending on how much is left in my bottle, go back over her legs and like up into her armpits and stuff because she tends to get more matted up there. But I really just want to coat her hair with the diluted conditioner, and then I basically let it sit for a little bit, maybe about a minute or so in her coat while I rinse out the water bottles. Rinsing out Winnie's water bottles, I will go over her coat with my hands, just kind of working in any last conditioner and giving her a bit of praise for her good behavior. And this is the time when I take a good look at Winnie's paws. I look between her paw pads, at her claws, the top of her paws. It's the easiest time for me to look at Winnie's coat and Winnie's skin, and her paws especially is when she's wet all the way through like this. So I go through each paw, I look on top and under each paw, make sure everything's okay, that she's looking good and looking healthy. And after we have gone through her paw pads as such, give her a bit of a little paw pad massage, and kind of check under her, make sure everything's all set to go. We will move on to rinsing. And we do the rinsing for the conditioner in the exact same way as I did for the shampoo, making extra sure that I have gotten out all of the last bits of remaining conditioner and any last bits of shampoo that might be there before we get out of the bath. once I have finished rinsing all of the shampoo and conditioner out of Winnie's hair, I squeeze as much water as possible out of her. I do this by lifting her up in one arm and then using my other hand, squeezing her ears and both front paws and back paws and as much of her stomach and side hair as possible and her tail. Squeezing out water like this, I'm not using a whole lot of pressure. I'm not hurting her at all. It just helps with the drying process to get as much liquid out of this dog's coat as possible because she has so much hair that it is quite time consuming to dry her. So after I've squeezed out as much as I can without, using too much pressure, I put her down on the towel that I laid out for her on the little bench in the shower and let her shake out. She knows to shake right there. And then I quickly cover her in the towel so she does not get cold. I like to use a very fluffy towel like this. I think I got this at Kohl's because it absorbs water really well. Then I somehow managed to take my flip-flops off while stepping out of the bath, dry off my feet, and then I take her back into my office to sit on the window bench and dry for about 5 minutes in the towel. I kind of place her on my belly for warmth, as you can see here, and get myself situated. She lies just right on my chest like this. That's the warmest place for her because she's rather chilly after getting out of the bath. And we stay this way for about 5 minutes before I take her back to the grooming table to dry her. And you guys will see that in next week's video. I decided to split it up because it's a lot of footage, so check back to see how I blow dry Winnie's coat. Thanks for watching.